I'll call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. Can I get a motion to confirm the agenda? Councillor Milligan, Councillor McDonald, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Just before we go further, Councillor Lalande is away but is hoping to join us remotely. As far as I know, she is not available yet, but she may be chiming in at some point. Any declaration of pecuniary interest? Councillor Milligan.
I'd like to declare for item 5.1 in closed session.
Thank you. No one for open forum. No presentations, but we do have a deputation from Ellen Fry, who is with ADR Chambers, who are our integrity committee firm. And Ellen, assuming everything is electronically aligned, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. I don't actually have a lot to say, except, of course, thank you for appointing me as your integrity commissioner. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you all about the code of conduct. I guess the only thing that I would say is, and I'm sure that previous integrity commissioners have had the same philosophy, if there's an issue, my philosophy is always to try and deal with that issue in the simplest, most effective way possible, which also equates to the cheapest, generally speaking. It's often not possible, but, you know, I don't get any joy out of complicated processes if there's a simpler way to do things. And for that reason, I would just want to put in a plug for getting advice from the integrity commissioner. So as you probably know, if you think you want to do something and you think it's probably okay under the code of conduct, but you're really not 100% sure, or perhaps you think it's okay, but there might be a constituent who disagrees with you, it's very easy. Just write me a note explaining what your issue is, and I will give you written advice that you can rely on if, for example, you have a constituent that complains about it later. Now, all this has to be done in writing because that's what the legislation says. But normally, depending on the situation, I would want to speak to the person seeking the advice just to make sure I have all the information right. So that's quite a fast process, just take a few days usually. And, you know, it's a short process and it does the trick. So that's my plug. Nothing more to say really. Open to any questions.
Okay, thanks, Ellen. Any questions for Ellen at this point? I guess everyone's more or less up to speed on the legislation, Ellen, and thank you for coming this evening just to introduce yourself to us, and I hope we won't need much of your services.
Well, you know, I actually endorse that point of view. You know, I work in dispute resolution, so I like to have disputes resolved.
I imagine. All right, then,
Yeah.
thank you. Can I get a motion to receive Ellen's presentation, please? Councillor Milligan, Councillor Fenwick, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Thanks, Ellen.
Well, have a very good rest of the evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Items for consideration. 8.1 is the final draft of renovation plans for Yarker Riverside Park. We have a recommendation that Council direct staff to proceed with tender preparation based on the final design plans prepared by landscape architect Brendan McKee and forward to the Joint Accessibility Committee for review, and that the estimated project costs of $200,000 be incorporated into the draft budget for Council's review during budget deliberations. Can I get that on the floor, please? Councillor Woodcock, Councillor Fenwick. Mr. Detler, did you want to expand on your written report?
Yeah, this is kind of the accumulation of two years. This is something that went into the budget 2 years in a row and just never got quite done in either year. Yeah, I apologize for doing consultation and then just it just happened that it just took a while for us to get this kind of going, and now we have to, you know, if this is a draft that you want to move forward with, we got to get kind of the tenders prepared and prices. The 200,000 was something that was in last year's budget, so we'll just roll over. Happy to. The attached document was very long, made by Brendan McKee, landscape architect that we've worked with in the past, and the final pages of the report were kind of a long, kind of went into what the final, what his final, you know, draft of proposed would look like, and actually Brendan's on this call if you guys want to kind of get into the weeds of what his vision looks like.
Okay, thanks.
Good evening,
Jake.
folks.
Any questions or comments from council on this draft? Councillor Fenwick.
Yeah, Jake, this has been a big one for you, I know. And I want to thank CBO Detler for all of his effort in this. I read it cover to cover and have been following this, and this is a big deal. I know a lot of curveballs came your way, and you seem to have caught them all. And I'm really pleased to see that some of the equipment is being repurposed. I did have a chance to go down and take a look at it, and yes, some of it's in decent repair. It's nice that we're not taking something of value and discarding it just because, and it's a really good way of doing things. And yeah, it was a lot of work, Jake, and thank you for all your efforts because it's going to produce something really important for the Yarker community.
Thanks, Rob. Anyone else? Deputy Reeve Davison.
I would just like to echo the words. It's a very nice looking park. But I do have a question and a concern. In the final draft, I don't see anything for toddlers. There's currently 2 pieces of equipment for toddlers, and it lists them as being removed and not replaced. And the biggest users of the park are mothers with small children. And all that's being left is equipment that's for older children. And I really think that we should reconsider at least putting in something for toddlers, one or 2 pieces of equipment, a toddler play structure. Yeah. Am I right in assuming there's not there?
Yeah, through your worship, yeah, Doug's right. The 2 pieces of play equipment that were deliberated as being taken out are generally specialized for toddlers. He's correct in that regard. I might let Brendan talk about the new sort of wooden play stuff and whether that would be toddler friendly or not. He would, you know, kind of be more of an expert in that regard than me. But I think that's kind of Doug's, you know, point probably is well taken.
Brendan, do you want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, happily so. Excuse me. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for your understanding of allowing me to call in on this, you know, unusual weather circumstance. So I appreciate that. Yeah, in regards to kind of child's play, if you look in some of the key elements section of the report, and I know it's long, so it's more towards the end, but there's more kind of unstructured play elements that would appeal to youth in this case. Specifically, kind of in the southeast quadrant of the park, we have an accessible area that has a low stump table and stump seatings, which are intended to be dimensioned for, you know, youth activity. As well, the kind of edging around the park itself as well. You know, they serve as balancing beams and stepping logs and that kind of fun stuff. I believe that there's enough engaging elements here that can engage in kind of the creative aspect of play for youth, even if there's not one dedicated child structure dedicated to this park.
Thank you. Doug, did you want to comment further?
Well, I would, I appreciate your opinion, but I also have an opinion, and I believe that it should have at least a bought and play structure, something that the kids can play with other than just to climb over a wooden stump. That's my opinion, and I'm going to ask that at least one toddler play structure be included.
Anyone else? Did you want to make that a motion then, Doug?
Yes, I will make it a motion that at least one toddler play structure be included in the park.
And did you wish to second that, Sherry? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, revise 3, we already have a motion on the floor.
Oh, that's true.
As written in the report.
Yep.
So we can add it if it's a friendly amendment. Councillor Woodcock and Councillor Fenwick, if we wanted to add a third item in there that staff be directed to incorporate an area, play structure for toddlers.
Okay, is that agreeable? Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Looks like you've got a bit more work to do there, Brandon. Anything further, Jake, from your end?
Through your worship, yeah, it's January. I don't think what Doug and council's asking for is probably that difficult, so.
Okay, so that'll come to us at budget time to be added, if necessary, to the 200,000 figure we're already dealing with. Okay, thank you very much, and thank you, Brendan.
Pleasure, guys. Thank you.
You bet. 8.2, special event permit application exemption request from the Newburgh Canal Bash. The recommendation that the report be received and the applicant be granted a partial exemption to the current policy and be requested to provide the following: an emergency plan and a site plan. Can I get that on the floor, please? Deputy Reeve Davison and Councillor Woodcock. Randy, this is yours.
Nothing further to add to the report, Reeve-wise. We do anticipate that the updated bylaw will be coming back to the first meeting in February. And I would just request that if the motion on the floor stands, that we include and that the permit fee be waived and funded through the council donation budget line. I had indicated in my report I believe that the requesters were also asking for a full exemption, so that would also include the waiving of the permit fee. We do use those funds to reflect our budget, so if council was waiving that, we would require it to be pulled from another budget line.
Okay, is that agreeable to the mover and seconder then, that be waived? Any discussion? Yes, Councillor Milligan.
I just have a question. I was looking through the special event part on our website, and part of it says that a special event permit is required when it's organized by someone who is not the township. So I'm wondering, how is the Newburgh Fire Station not the township?
Through you, Reeve-wise, so it's the Firefighters Association that's organizing the event, and they are not a sector of they're not employees of the municipality, nor does the municipality oversee them. So they're their own association.
Okay. Any further questions or discussion? We've got a motion on the floor. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, 8.3, it's update to the township health and safety policy. The recommendation is that the bylaw to adopt a health and safety manual be enacted and passed, and the Reeve clerk be authorized to sign and seal, and further that the following existing policies be repealed, and that any other bylaw, policy, or resolution conflicting with the bylaw is hereby repealed. One is the Health and Safety Policy Resolution 11-545-2019, the Workplace Violence and Harassment Policy Resolution 05509-2018, 3, Safety Rules and Regulations Policy, 4, Smoke-Free Workplace, 5, Use of Drugs, Alcohol, or other substances which cause impairment, and 6, the Lockout Tag-Out Policy. Is that right? Yeah? Okay. A lot of outs in there. Can I get that on the floor, please? Councillor Milligan, Deputy Reeve Davison, and Brandy, this is yours. No, sorry, it's James's. Sorry, James, go ahead.
Thank you, Reeve Wise. Nothing more to add to the report. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on the report? None? All in favor then? That's carried. Thanks, James.
Thank you.
8.4 is the 2026 compensation report. The recommendation is that the report be received and that the 2026 preliminary budget be developed based upon a 3% economic increase to the salary structure and grid movement for eligible staff effective the first full pay of 2026, and that a final decision regarding the economic increase to the current salary structure and grid movement for eligible employees be finalized when the Township has concluded the review and confirmation of the 2026 budget. Can I get that on the floor, please? Deputy. Oh, Rob, you put your pen in your mouth. I thought you were making a motion. Councillor Fenwick and Councillor Milligan. Jason, is this yours? Yes, it is.
Thank you. Through you, Reeve Wise. The report does recommend a 3% wage adjustment for 2026 I just want to highlight that the staff calculated the averages for multiple data sources and using multiple years and using sector-specific data such as CPI, OMERS, and wage data that's been made available both from Stats Canada and our pension provider. The recommendation does not rely solely on CPI alone. CPI covers consumer costs across a lot of industries, for instance, agriculture, manufacturing, and forestry, education, and utilities. Sectors with very different pressures than municipal government. We have legislated services and requirements, and we also compete in a specific labor market. And using only CPI could be sort of give us flawed decision making because that's a very broad number that doesn't reflect the industry that we find ourselves in. Also, by using multi-year averages, our guidance is moderated. In times of high inflation, say in like 2023, where inflation was at over 6%, if we use an average, we wouldn't be chasing those highs or those peak numbers, but also in times of slower growth, we won't be necessarily recommending falling down to the bottom of the cycle as well. And this would be considered a more stable and more moderated guidance that smooths out peaks and valleys. So just based on the analysis provided as a guide, not necessarily as a hard calculation, 3% sits in the middle of our indicators. It's above the CPI floor that I have in the report at 2.7%, but is below the wage growth in the construction and public sector sectors of 4%, and closely aligns with the OMERS at 3.76. So I think it's competitive, financially responsible, and regionally appropriate. I'd be happy to answer any questions the council may have about this report.
Questions for Jason? I was just thinking, you referenced the 2023 inflation rate as 6%. It's about double what it was now. You won't remember, but in about 1982, it was something like 19%. Yeah, 19 and a half. We just about hit 20%. I think maybe Doug and I are the only ones that remember that. Yeah, it was hard to plan stuff, I'll tell you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was crazy. Okay, if there's no further discussion on that, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And our final item for consideration at 8.5 is the strategic plan update review. The recommended motion is that the report be received for information. Can I get that on the floor, please? Councillor Fenwick and Deputy Reeve Davison. Jason.
Yeah, this is a housekeeping item that was requested by council to just provide a bit of an update on the list of strategic items, both to inform council as to where the status of each item is at from a staff's perspective, but also during our upcoming budget deliberations, if there's any kind of prioritization or feedback from council during the consultation period, this will be used as good information for council to know where some of these objectives are. Staff are available to answer any questions you may have about specific items either tonight or if you wanted to reach out directly in preparation for budget, you may do so. There are a lot of items there, and I have made some recommendations as far as how we could potentially handle strategic planning going forward. The one that I would say that I would want to lean into, should we do an updated strategic plan, is attaching some budget to specific items. I think it's a bit ambiguous to have a list of items and not know the impact on services or costs, even from a preliminary estimate point of view. They wouldn't necessarily be fully quoted or ratified numbers, but if there was an estimate provided by staff through the strategic planning process as to approximate costs related to implementing something that may have no costs to potentially something that may have significant costs, and be able to justify those would be helpful in prioritizing and knowing just how big of a portfolio has been kind of laid out through the strategic planning process. I'd be happy answer any questions that council may have about this report.
Questions or comments for Jason at this time? Well, thank you for undertaking that. I know that wasn't a small exercise, and I'm sure it involved all senior staff, and I think it's going to be useful going into budget. There's a lot of things there that, not that I'd forgotten about, but I thought, oh, I thought we did that or whatever. So it's a good touchstone. And further to that, when do you expect we'll have our sort of initial budget meetings or discussions? What's the target dates at this point, Jason?
So thank you for that question. The plan, the unofficial plan, I guess, is that we're just finalizing some of our capital numbers internally this week, and then we're going to planning on proposing some dates to meet with council. Hopefully a week or two earlier than last year. Last year, I think we got started in March, but we're hoping to get our first meeting in the books by the end of February. But a proposed schedule will be forthcoming.
Great, thank you. Okay, oh yeah, let's get down to it. Okay, I guess we had a motion on the floor. Brandy, all in favor? That's carried, thank you. We've got a consent agenda here. It's not quite as extensive as the last one. Is there anything anyone wanted to pull out? Councillor Fenwick.
Yeah, I'd like to remove 9.3 and 9.6.
Rob. 9.3 and 9.6. Anyone else? Councillor Milligan.
I was just going to speak for a second on 9.3 as well, but we can see what Rob says.
Okay,
first.
yeah. Anything else? Can I get a motion to approve the balance of the consent agenda then? Deputy Davison, seconded by Councillor Milligan. All in favor? Okay, Rob, did you want to tackle 9.3, the Lear study update?
Yeah, pretty straightforward. All I wanted to mention was I just wanted to bring it to light that this is a big deal and something we've been waiting for some time. And their open houses are 6 to 9 p.m. on Wednesday, February 4th, and 6 to 9 p.m. the very next evening, Thursday, February 5th. And it's at the courthouse in Napanee. And if you have any concerns, the public needs to be aware of these things because this will affect people one way or another. And they need to, if they want to have their say, this is their opportunity. So I just wanted to make sure we didn't bury that and not bring it to everybody's attention because it's been an important thing to a lot of people in the township.
Thank you. And Sherry, did you want to add anything?
I was just going to mention, I watched the county council meeting last Wednesday. It was virtual because of the weather. They had sent out about 3,000 letters just the week before to affected residents, and they had fielded over 100 calls already within a couple days. So people are engaged and people care. And I was just going to mention the meetings as well, but that's
Okay.
it.
Thank you. Yeah, anyone whose property has any designation proposed has received one of those letters, but anyone else can comment. If you've got an opinion on a piece of property whose designation has changed, or you think there's a piece of property that should be added to Prime Ag or whatever, that is your opportunity. The consultants will be there for that meeting. And at 9.6, Rob. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. Motion to receive that one. I guess, Rob, you're making that. And Jason wants to make a comment before we vote on that.
Just further to what council has been discussing there, I just wanted to also fill in that staff have started to receive those same phone calls, and we are doing our best to support that process from the township perspective, but also redirecting that feedback so that it does get captured as part of this process. And do want to stress that the open house and what's been proposed at this point is considered draft and is not necessarily a final version of what is going to be considered. And I believe through the county's presentation, it was also stressed that there are still a number of statutory meetings that still have to be scheduled. So we're at the start of a process here, not necessarily very close to the end of that process. But the township staff will do what they can to support that process as well.
In fact, these two meetings are voluntary on the part of the county and the consultant. The statutory public meeting has not even been scheduled yet. Sherry, did you second Rob's motion? Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? That's carried. So now, Rob, 9.6, which is Grassroots Growers Community Garden Report.
Yeah, I just thought this is something that was fantastic. When we voted to support this initiative, I don't recall that we were asking for them for a report. We knew they would do good things with that. And so to see one is, I consider it going over and above. So, and it's like 4 pages long, and it's really informative. These folks actually measured the weight of their bounty. And I was thinking to myself, somebody really cares about how we supported them to the point where they want to let us know where it's going and what the end result was. And I just think that's fantastic. So I want to say thank you to these fine folks at the grassroots growers, for doing this. It's really helpful, and it's good for the community to know that when they ask for help and we offer it and it goes to a good cause, that we can say, this is what we got for that. This is what the ratepayers got for that. So thank you very much, and excellent job.
So you're moving receipt and approval. Okay, can I get another mover for that? Councillor Milligan, all in favor? That's carried. I agree, Rob. It's nice to see. Okay, that brings us to any notice of motion? Any direct? Yes, Councillor Milligan.
I have a direct motion.
Okay.
Do I just read the motion or talk about it first? You can just speak to it first. Okay. So my direct motion is regarding the high-speed rail called Alto from Toronto to Quebec City. Embarrassingly enough, I didn't realize what an impact this could have on our community. I literally sat beside the Alto community relations fellow last weekend for like an hour and just yacked away. If I had him there now, I have way more questions. I hadn't paid much attention to this whole deal because it was a northern route and it didn't seem to impact us. You know, great high-speed rail, didn't think much about it. Well, apparently over the last while, there's a new southern route to this whole thing that's possibly cheaper for Alto, and it runs right through Strathcona, Newburgh, and Yarker, and then kind of following the Cat Trail. So I've done some more digging, and the rail is happening. It's whether they use which route is what's still up for question. So Bill C-15 was tabled on the floor of the House last November, but possibly approved in February. That's why I made this a direct motion. That, and inside Bill 15, there's a whole bunch of things, but buried in there is called the High-Speed Rail Act. And they can expropriate land at will. If they want your land, they just take it and you get market value. There's no discussion. The environmental impacts, they're automatically approved. I just think this is something that people need to be aware of and to do research on, like us and the community. And I would just like to, my motion is that we invite someone from Alto, whether it be Joel that we met there or someone else, to come and answer some questions and explain, because apparently they're going to decide by the end of the second quarter of 2026 which route they're going to use. And yeah, I don't know if public input is going to have any, it sounds like it's a done deal, it's just which route. So yeah, that's my motion.
Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Woodcock, any discussion? So you ran into this person at Roma, is that, he was there to make a presentation about this route?
I don't
or
think
are
he
you,
did, he was just there.
It
And
was-
all of our lanyards, Alto, wow, Alto, what's Alto? I wasn't paying any attention. And now,
Yeah,
all the
now you're
lanyards
paying
said
attention.
Alto. And now it's like, oh, I want to go back and talk to him now.
Yeah,
Because, yeah, this could have huge, like, it's unbelievable what, and they can just do it.
yeah, they can just do it. Yes, Doug?
We had discussion of this at the Cat Trail last Thursday night. It was on there, and we had a geologist speak to it, and the geologist didn't think that they could use the Cat Trail because of the geology and because of the fact it runs through all the villages. They figured they were looking for a route that is away from populated areas. But that's not to say we shouldn't ask for something. I would agree with Sherry, if there's possible to get somebody to talk to us. We do have a stake, a high stake. It runs right through our villages, not bypass them. You know.
One other thing I was going to mention is I've watched a lot on social media of people commenting in Kingston and stuff, and even their mayor is saying, oh, but if there's a stop in Kingston, there will not be a stop in Kingston. They've talked about the 7 stops, there will never be a stop in Kingston. So, yeah, I just think if people could get the right information and just be aware of what's going on.
Yes, go ahead, Rob.
To Sherry's point, I know that Mayor Garrettson is is pushing for Mark's not a mayor. What am I talking about? MP. He is pushing. Pardon me. Who's the other? Is pushing for the residents of Kingston to show their support for the southern route, which is the route that Sherry's concerned about, in the hopes that at someday down the road there might be a stop for Kingston. However, Alto seems convinced that that is never going to occur. So without some input from our end, it's possible we could get the negative impact of a southern route with no positive impact for Kingston. So both lose. So I agree with Sherry. We need to reach out to Alto and do our best to share our concerns.
Thanks, Rob. Anyone else? Yeah, yeah, Jason, go ahead.
I had the opportunity of meeting representatives from Alto as well, both Joel and the people at their booth. I have to admit that this was the first time I saw the southern route proposed. It was at their booth. Earlier, we had received communication that really only showed that northern route, and I don't know when that route was added. And you're right about the number of stops. What was explained to me is that there's a difference between commuter trains, high frequency trains, and high speed trains. So when you add more stops, it becomes more of a high frequency train than it is a high speed train, is really what it boils down to. And that's why there's the proposed stop layout that they've have proposed. But that being said, I've already, at the conference, met that representative and have already reached out to them about potentially presenting to council. So I'm hopefully one step ahead of you and can relatively quickly have respond to this motion.
Yes, Crystal Lee.
Yeah, and just that I also spoke to some multiple people and I didn't know about the southern route. I had said like, oh, you guys are going right close to Madoc. Do you think we'll ever get a stop there? I was like, down the road. They're like, I'm like, like 10, 20 years from now, But then also just thinking, if it doesn't have stops, we don't get that economic benefit. A high speed, right through villages doesn't sound the best. I'd like trains. I want more trains. I wish we had one from Via to Tamworth, but yeah, requires a stop.
Ed, Rob.
Yeah, I think what part of the concern or part of the reason we haven't heard a lot about this is because this is a federal initiative. And when we went to Roma, it's Rural Ontario Municipal Association gathering. And so I'm actually quite surprised that Alto was there because it's an Ontario initiative, but driven by federal partnership. So I think that's part of the part of the concern. I didn't hear any of this. I had some time with our MPP, Rick Brzee, and he's Parliamentary Secretary to the Ministry of Transportation. You'd think it would have come up, but it's not his thing. So although it sounds provincial and it's in Ontario, it is not a provincial initiative, and therefore that is probably why we didn't hear about it until after we had been. Now that being said, I can imagine that at Good Roads, it'll probably be top of mind. So, but yeah, it's unfortunate we had a chance to meet with these people and talk with them directly. I'm really glad that Jason was able to pull that off because yeah, we chatted with these people and then left and found out the day after.
It's not only Ontario, it's Quebec. And in fact, the first leg is proposed, I believe, from Quebec to Ottawa, from Quebec City to Ottawa. So, but I'll be dead before it happens. Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
And just by way of housekeeping, just for reference, on our January 12th meeting, there was some matters for information about open houses related to Alto in that agenda. So anybody who wants to go back and take a look at that and see when those open houses are planned, that's another opportunity. Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion on this? All in favor then? That's carried. Thank you, Sherry. Okay, any announcements that anyone wishes to make? Yes, Rob, go ahead.
Yeah, if you recall, many months ago, I made a motion and it was carried in regards to renaming the Enterprise Rink to the Werner Detler Memorial Rink, and for good reason. I'm pleased to announce that I have reached out to the surviving children of Werner Detler and confirmed that on the 16th of February, which is Family Day, conveniently and intentionally, we're going to be having a small barbecue down at the rink around noon. And it's a community gathering, and at that point, we'll be revealing the sign to the family and to anybody who wants to be present. And I think it's going to be a wonderful day. And we're going to combine that with, hopefully, if the ice holds in, a family skate. And yeah, the Firefighter Association of Enterprise has agreed to host the barbecue, and I am really looking forward to this. So long overdue. Gentleman passed away. Bernard passed away on the 29th of January, 1987. To give you an idea how long it's been. So it's going to be, I was actually going to shoot for that date, and I thought, you know what, it just doesn't seem perfectly right to celebrate something like that on the day of his passing. I'd prefer to do it on Family Day. It seemed more appropriate. So, yeah, we got some excited family members, and I'm excited as well. So keep that in mind and mark your calendar.
That's great. Thanks, Rob. It's been a pretty good year for keeping the ice in so far, right? Yeah. Anyone else have any announcements? In that case, I need a motion to move into closed session, please. Crystal Lee and Wendy. This is a closed session under the Municipal Act to consider material relating to approval of the minutes from the January 12th, 2026 closed session meeting, and discussion in regard to a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried out or to be carried out on, by, or on behalf of the municipality or local board. And this one is in regard to a lease renewal and negotiations for township-owned facilities. All in favor of moving into closed session then? That is carried. Thank you. We'll just wait for a few minutes while we get off. We have to get back online there, Jason?
We're back.
We're back. Okay, let's get my other agenda up here. So council has come out of closed session where we discussed business related to leases for the medical clinics that we own. And what is it that you want in our rise and report motion then, Brandy?
So the motion 3 revised that the minutes of January 12th, 2026 were adopted from the closed session. Direction was provided to staff with respect to lease negotiations with the Tamworth and Newburgh Medical Centers, and staff were directed to bring a lease renewal for these facilities to a future open session of council.
Can I get a mover and seconder for that, please? Councillor Woodcock, Councillor Fenwick. Any further discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Can I get someone to move the confirming bylaw? That would be Deputy Reeve Davison and Councillor McDonald. All in favor? That's carried. And a motion to adjourn. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. Back into the cold.